Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Once again, another edition of the Voice of the Cape 91.3 FM Matric Revision program right here on our social media. Alhamdulillah. In our Matric Revision today, we will once again be joined by Mr. Mogamad Imraan Majiet, the subject head in business studies at Trafalgar High School, taking us into part 4 of our Matric Revision in business studies. So I hand over to Mr. Imraan Majiet. Over to you, sir.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, guys, to session 4 of our Matric Revision. Today, we'll be focusing on business ventures. So, this will be our last topic that we'll be focusing on before we'll go through questions to prepare ourselves for the Matric prelims and our final examinations. I checked today, guys, we only have 75 more days left before we go into our finals. The trick revision prelim starts on the 5th of next month. We move over. So, as I said before, we will now be focusing on business ventures. It is one of 4 topics that we've been going over. This will be the last topic. Again, the paper layout, as before, we all know paper 1 is business environments and business operations. Paper 2 would be business roles and business ventures. As we said before, section A is compulsory. Section B, you have 3 questions, you get to choose 2. And then section C, you have 2 essays, and you're going to choose one of them. Today's topics that we'll be going over for business ventures would be management and leadership, investment securities or opportunities, investment insurance, forms of ownership with the focus on how they can contribute to the success or failure of a business. We'll be also going over presentation and data response. If you didn't know, all these topics was covered in grade 10, grade 11, more work was added to it, and now in Matric, even more work has been added to it, but you have recapped on all those topics in those previous grades, and we'll now be focusing on what will be asked of us in our prelims and our final examination. So, our first topic of the day would be management and leadership. With these questions, we're going to have to distinguish between the two. So, management, it will be asked in question 1 in a multiple choice question on the coordination of management. So, the coordination of management would be planning, organizing, leading, and controlling employees to achieve goals. A person becomes a manager because of the position in which he or she is appointed. Leadership, the ability of an individual to influence and guide followers. A leader steps up in times of crisis and is able to think and act creatively. So, the difference between leadership and management: leadership influences human behavior, management guides human behavior. Leadership then encourages new ideas to increase productivity. Management administers tasks to get the job done. Leadership focuses on the what and why, and management focuses on how and when. So, as a leader or a CEO of a business, you now focus on what and why. So, what should be done and why it should be done. As a management, you follow that instruction and then you focus on how it should be done and when it should be done. So we have different types of leadership styles. Our first leadership style would be our situational leadership. In simple terms, in different situations, you need to act differently or accordingly. So we'd go over that. Um, Situational leadership is the different leadership characteristics are needed for different situations. The task dictates the leadership style, so leaders are flexible. They can act out according to the situation that they are in. Its effective application of this theory may enable leaders to accomplish their goals. Transformational leadership suitable for a dynamic environment where change could be drastic, encourages followers to explore new opportunities, and leaders lead by example and make workers interested in their work. So, leaders and followers, leaders lead by example and reward positive behavior. Followers easily accept responsibility when something doesn't work out. Followers might just throw along depending on leaders and other followers to pull them through the task. So, the role of personal attitude in successful leadership. Leaders' attitude may influence employees' behavior. Enthusiasm produces confidence in a leader. Great leaders understand that the right attitude will set the right atmosphere. Therefore, as a leader coming into your workplace, if you come into your workplace with a positive, vibrant attitude, you then lay off that attitude on your employees. Therefore, they will now comprehend that and they will display the same attitude like you. Therefore, productivity will increase as well as profitability. So, successful leaders consider the abilities of team members to allocate tasks effectively. So remember, you must be able to identify the leadership theories from given scenarios, as also you must be able to identify the role of personal attitude in successful leadership from given scenarios. We now move over to our different types of leaderships. So, firstly, we get democratic, autocratic, laissez faire, charismatic, and transactional. So, what is a democratic leadership? In simple terms, it is where everyone has a say. So, we do know that South Africa is a democratic country, meaning we get to vote who our next president is. So, in a business, in a democratic, meaning everyone now has a say. So, a brief explanation would be leader involves employees in decision making process. It is also people orientated as employees' opinions are considered. Our impact of our leadership styles, we need to know impact is positive and negative. You can take a screenshot of this slide as I've shortened it for you guys for the examination. All the slides is now summarized notes for our prelims and our finals. Therefore, you can study this as is to help with your examination. So the positives of democratic employees feel empowered as they partake in decision making process. Authority is delegated, which can inspire workers to be more productive. So remember, once if you wanted, you'd then want to work there and you'd want to produce. So therefore, productivity would increase and profitability. Our negatives, decision making may be time consuming as all stakeholders must be consulted. Not effective in crisis situations when quick decisions must be made. So, the situations in which leadership styles can be applied in the workplace for democratic leadership, decisions need to be looked at from several perspectives, as well as cooperation is needed between leader and team. We now move over to the next leadership style, which is autocratic. Autocratic, you need to know, is where there is only one owner or a dictator and they make all the decisions. A good example of this is if you know your history, Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was a autocratic leadership. He was a dictator. No one could tell him nothing. The same within a business. Autocratic leadership is where leader takes all decisions and do not involve employees. Task orientated as the opinions of employees are not considered. Our positives, quick decisions can be taken without consulting stakeholders. work gets done on schedule. So our negatives, workers can be demotivated as their opinions are not considered. So you don't have a say, you don't feel welcomed, or your input is not considered. Therefore, you now are demotivated and productivity can actually decrease. So demotivated workers impact negatively on production. Our situation that we might face is that in emergencies, when there's a shortage of time or when all information is available to solve the problem. Our laissez-faire, another word for laissez-faire or laissez-faire leadership, is called free rein. So free rein is basically when the owner now gives you a task, but only gives you a time limit when it should be done. Therefore you have now freedom of how you're going to make it, but it should be in a specific way, and then you're only given a time. So the leader delegates tasks to followers with little or no direction given. Leader motivates workers by trusting them to do things themselves. The positive thing about this is that subordinates have maximum freedom and can work independently. Leader motivates workers by trusting them to do things on their own. Do remember, if you do procrastinate, this is not a good leadership style. Or if your workers do procrastinate, this is not a good leadership style to go into. The negatives about this is that there is a lack of clear direction, may be demotivating to employees. Productivity can be slow if employees lack necessary knowledge and skills. The situation that we might be in is when employees are highly skilled and experienced, or subordinates are experts and know what they want. Charismatic. Charismatic is now when you're dealing with your emotions, when you're now using your charm. So the leader uses the charm to influence followers. The leader is an expert at selling vision to achieve excellent results. So the positive thing about this is that employees are motivated as the leader is inspiring. Im- Inspires loyalty among employees. So you need to be active, you need to draw in people so that you are now trustworthy and they can be loyal to you. The negatives, leader believes more in himself than the team. Projects can collapse if the leader leaves the team. Situations in which leadership styles can be applied in the workplace to sell vision to achieve excellent results, as well as to inspire hard work among employees. The last one would be our transactional leadership style. This encourages employees to work hard because they will receive rewards. So if you know people working in call centers or different types of workplace and you hear that they get now incentives. So incentives are these rewards that they receive. It motivates employees by appealing to their own self-interest. The positives about this is that they improve employee productivity and morale. Employees know what is expected of them. The negatives about this is that not suitable for teamwork, as all members would be punished for poor performance. Employees can become bored as following rules reduces creativity. The situations you might face when workers have low morale or when productivity levels are low. So once you know all these, you will then know the topic of management and leadership. We now move over. We now move to investments, insurance. So before we go on to investments or insurance, what you need to know is that all of us or most of our parents take out insurance. So the meaning of insurance that we need to know is that insurance refers to cover for a possible event that may cause a specified loss, such as losing your cell phone. You take out insurance on your cell phone. So the insured must pay a premium for specified losses covered, premium paying that minimum amount every month. A contract between the insured re- um, requiring cover and the insurer bearing the financial risk. So the note, the insurer refers to the insurance company, and the insured is usually the business or the individual, such as yourself. So the different concepts that we need to know, insurance concepts. Overinsurance is when the item is insured for more than the actual market value. The insured will not receive a payout larger than the value of the loss at market value. Your underinsurance occurs when property or assets are insured for less than its market value. The insured will receive loss in proportion to the insured value. Our average clause, which is important, it's going to come as a question in section two, as or in question two, as well as in question four, where you will need to know how to calculate it as well. But let's go over it, guys. A stipulation set by the insurer which is applicable when property or goods is underinsured. The insurer will pay for the insured loss, damages in proportion to the insured value. This means that the insured is responsible for a part of the risk that is not insured. So the explanation on how average clause is calculated, please look at the calculation at the bottom. It is the amount insured over the value of the insured item. So say for instance, the amount insured, you only insured it for 80,000 Rand. The value of the insured item is actually at 140,000 Rand, and you're going to times it by the amount of loss. The amount of loss, say for instance, would be then 20,000 Rand. And now you can work out what your average clause would be. Our reinstatement, it is a stipulation whereby the insurer may replace the good or property instead of reimbursing it. This stipulation is applicable when property or goods are overinsured. The reinstatement value will not be higher than the market value of the loss. Insured is restored to almost the same financial position as before the loss occurred. So note reinstatement applies when goods are overinsured, and also the average clause applies when goods are underinsured. Reinstatement, you can repeat after me. Reinstatement when goods are overinsured. Average clause when goods are underinsured. We move on. So, principles of insurance. We get an indemnity. So, what is an indemnity? We all know an indemnity is a paper that we now need to fill out. So, indemnity applies to short term insurance as the insured is compensated for a specified loss. Insurer agrees to compensate the insured for losses specified in the insurance contract in return for premiums paid by the insured. Payouts from the insurer will only be made if the insured can prove the amount of the loss. The insured must be placed in the same position as before the occurrence of the loss. Insurable interest. Insured must prove that he or she will suffer a financial loss if the insured object is damaged or lost. An insurable interest must be expressed in financial terms, such as if your phone depreciates, it should be insured for the same amount that you're going to pay for it now. So, insured must have a legal relationship with insured object in the contract. So, security or certainty applies to long-term insurance. Long-term insurance, where the insurer undertakes a payout an agreed amount in the event of loss of life. A predetermined amount will be paid out when the insured reaches a predetermined age or gets injured. So once you take out life cover and you now reach the age of 65 or 60, you get paid out because our lifespan now is at the age of 70 years old. If you now do die before that age, and then the amount that you've been paying all the time, that amount then goes to your next of kin. Our utmost good faith is insured must be honest in supplying details when entering an insurance contract. Both parties, insurer and insured, must disclose all relevant facts. Information supplied when claiming should be true. So examples of short-term insurance would be property insurance, money in transit, theft, burglary, or fire. Examples of long-term insurance, please know these guys, would be endowment policy, life insurance, retirement annuity, disability policy, trauma insurance, funeral insurance, as well as health insurance. Distinguish between insurance and assurance. Insurance based on the principle of indemnity, assurance based on the principle of security. So assurance means you definitely going to get paid out, or it's definitely going to happen. Insurance obviously going to get paid out, but assurance definitely going to happen. Um, Insurance applicable for short-term insurance, assurance applicable to long-term insurance. Assurance, it covers a specified event that may occur. Assurance, specified event is certain, but time of event is uncertain. So examples of both, again, insurance, property insurance or theft, assurance, life insurance or retirement annuity. We move on. So the importance or advantages or positives of the impact of insurance for businesses. Listen closely, guys, for businesses. So transfers the risk from insured to an insurer. Transfer of risk is subject to the terms and conditions of the insurance contract. Businesses will be compensated for insurable losses, example, destruction of property through fire. It protects businesses against dishonest employees and protects businesses against losses due to death of a debtor. So debtor meaning someone that owes money. So remember, guys, that's the impact of insurance for businesses. The meaning of insurable and non-insurable risk. Insurable risk, risks which are insured by insurance companies. Non-insurable risks which are insured by insurance companies as risks are too high. So examples again, insurable risks, something that you can have insurance on would be theft, fidelity insurance, burglary, money in transit, fire, natural disasters, or injury on premises. Non-insurable risks would be then losses caused by war. So if a war takes place and your things do get damaged, those items are then non-insurable. Um, as well as most risks occurring between placing orders and receiving goods. Changes in fashion. You can't have insurance on changes in fashion, meaning if today um, the fashion is those skinny jeans and it goes out of fashion tomorrow, you can't get paid out for that, even though you took out insurance. Therefore, they're now telling you it is a non-insurable risk. Because we do know a few years down the line, those skinny jeans will then come back into fashion. So losses caused by marketing malpractices or advancement in technology. Our differences between compulsory and non-compulsory insurance. Compulsory insurance is required by law to be taken out and paid for. Non-compulsory insurance is voluntary to enter into an insurance contract, such as a cell phone. It is not compulsory, so you can make it compulsory or non-compulsory insurance. So therefore, that a cell phone would be non-compulsory insurance because it is voluntary. Compulsory insurance relegated by government and does not require insurance contracts. Non-compulsory insurance, insured will enter into a legal insurance contract with insurer. In compulsory insurance, payment is in the form of a levy paid into a common fund from which benefits may be claimed under certain conditions. Non compulsory insurance premiums must be paid to enjoy cover of nominated risk. Our examples for compulsory insurance: UIF, we know we pay 1% UIF of our salary every month, as well as COEDA, Compensation Occupational Injuries Diseases Act, and then RAF or RABS, Road Accident Fund. We know that a certain percentage goes towards road accident fund once we put in petrol into our vehicles. Non-compulsory insurance. Examples of that is short-term insurance, theft or fire, or long-term insurance such as life insurance. We now move on. Our compulsory insurance. So now we look at our unemployment, our road accident fund, or our road accident benefit scheme, and our compensation for occupational injuries and diseases act. Guys, don't forget to screenshot this. So we're going to go over briefly over each of them quickly. So UIF, the UIF provides benefits to workers who have been working and become unemployed for various reasons. Then you will get paid out your UIF once you're unemployed. A road accident fund insurance or insures road users against the negligence of other road users. Or once you get in an accident and someone knocks you over, you'll then apply for the road accident fund and then you'll get paid out. COEDA, Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Diseases Act. The fund covers occupational diseases and workplace injuries. So once you get injured, you'll then get paid out. Our types of benefits paid out by the UIF would be unemployment benefits, illness benefits, maternity benefits, adoption benefits, and dependent benefits. So our unemployment benefits would be employees who become unemployed may claim within 6 months after becoming unemployed. Illness benefits, employees may claim if they are unable to work for more than 14 days. Maternity benefits, pregnant employees receive benefits for up to 4 consecutive months. Remember, you get maternity and paternity. Paternity is for males, which they now get also 14, they get now 2 weeks paid out. Adoption benefits, employees receive benefits when adopting a child younger than 2 years old and only one parent may claim. Dependents benefits, dependents may apply for benefits if the breadwinner who contributed to UIF dies. We now move over. We now move on to our next topic, which is forms of ownership. So, what is forms of ownership? Is our different types of ownership. We're going to look at the impact, which is our advantages and disadvantages of all our forms of ownership. So, sole trader, what you need to know about a sole trader? Sole trader, you only have one owner. Um, Our advantages about this is that it is easy and inexpensive to start. It's quick decision making. All the profits belong to the owner and requires little capital to start. Our disadvantages to this is that unlimited liability, not a legal entity, or no continuity. Continuity means will the business continue once the owner dies? No, it won't because there's only one owner. Capital is limited and owner takes all the risk. So once the owner puts in everything and he loses, he then now takes all the risk. Partnership, what you need to know, partnership is two or more owners. It is easy and inexpensive to start as well. Workload and responsibilities are shared. More capital than sole trader can be obtained credit easier. Partners can share resources. The disadvantages: unlimited liability, One partner's dishonesty may impact on the business, has no continuity, as well as if both owners die, there will be no continuity, meaning the business will not continue. Capital is limited to the amount of partners can contribute, and decisions take time as partners may differ. Close cooperation, what you need to know, it is consisted of 1 to 10 members only. The advantages is that easy and inexpensive to start as well. Just a broad explanation of close cooperation again. So this is where each member now brings his part in different types of ways. So one would maybe give capital, other one would give um, equipment, other one would give ideas, and therefore they would get paid out according to what they've given to the business. So advantages again regarded as legal entity and has continuity, because if one member dies, these other members to continue the business. Not required to audit financial statements. Disadvantages is that capital is limited to 10 members contribution. This decision making is time consuming and may lead to conflict. Audited financial statements may be required when applying for a loan. CC is taxed as if it were a company, which may be higher than personal tax rates. Cooperatives, advantages higher production as members are loyal and dedicated. It has unlimited continuity as well. Members have limited liability and access to resources or and funding. Disadvantages, complicated establishment procedure. Success depends on the support and loyalty of members. Shares are not freely transferable, and auditing of financial statements is compulsory. Personal liability company Inc. has unlimited continuity, no maximum number of members, so as much members as possible can join a personal liability company. It can obtain a large amount of capital as there is no limit to the number of members. Disadvantages, complicated establishment procedures. Directors are liable for the debts of the business and must pay company tax and tax on dividends declared. Non-profit company, our NPOs and our NGOs. As we know that one of the best NPOs and NGOs in South Africa today, for me personally, would be the gift of the givers. They give so much back to our communities. Um, Advantages about this is that it has unlimited continuity. So if Ms. Suleiman dies, there would be another person that would take over, and Gift of the Givers would be standing for many, many years to come. The liability of the member is limited, can get funding from National Lottery Trust and other agencies such as the government and people, and is exempted from tax by SARS, so they do not pay tax. Complicated establishments, disadvantages now, complicated establishment procedures. It must keep financial and accounting records. They are not allowed to pay bonuses to members. So it's required to have an annual general meeting once a year. Before we move on to private, public company or state-owned company, our private company. Our private company, we know this is a company that shares are not sold on the JSE but is given amongst its employees. What you need to know here is advantages. Regarded as a legal entity and shareholders have limited liability, the company ends in Pty Ltd. Um, the number of shareholders allows for more capital, and the AGM is not required. It is led by a board of directors. Um, Disadvantages, complicated establishment procedures rely on capital contributions by shareholders. So it cannot raise money from the public for capital. It must pay company tax and tax on dividends declared. A public company, these are when shares are now sold on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, known as the JSE. So once you see limited or LTD, it is a public company such as Woolworths, Pick and Pay, MTN, Vodacom. They are all public companies. Why? Because the shares are listed on the JSE. It is regarded as a legal entity, and shareholders have limited liability. It has unlimited continuity, as there will always be someone that's going to take over the company next. It is easy to raise funds through the sale of shares. So once you buy shares, that's how the company raises funds to contribute to productivity and profitability. And then once profitability is made, those shareholders then get paid out shares. So shareholders can transfer the shares freely. Our public company disadvantages is that complicated establishment procedures due to legislation, decisions take longer, and there may be disagreements. Must disclose financial information and is required to hold annual general meetings so that their shareholders can see what is happening on or in their books. So they need a financial statement. Our state-owned companies owned by the state or partially by the state. It has limited liability, support of government, and greater power in negotiating of contracts. Profits may be used to finance other state departments. Examples of state-owned companies would be SSA, Transnet, Eskom, and Mike City. Uh, Disadvantages to this: it is not a true form of ownership because the government controls all decisions, many other legal requirements and strict regulations, and difficult to raise capital because shares are limited inefficiently due to the size of the business. We now move over to our presentation and data responses. So these are things we learn in grade 7, grade 11. If you have siblings in grade 11 as well, you can show them this because this will come in the examination this term. As well as going to come in your examination for you as well, matriculants. So please, you got to know this in a business and for your examination. It helps in both places. So what you're going to do before a presentation, before preparing for a presentation, you're going to get the clear goals and main points of the presentation. Your main objectives should be mentioned in your introduction, and you're going to practice making a confident presentation. Stand up straight, straight face, be confident, and be focused. What you're going to do during the presentation, you're going to make eye contact with everyone in the audience and look in all directions. Look at everybody. Use visual aids such as PowerPoints or posters effectively to enhance your presentation. Do not progress too fast or speak too slowly. Use breaks where necessary, especially by full stops. Use a break, breathe, and then continue. What are you going to do after the presentation? You're going to make sure you understand each question, repeat the questions if uncertain before responding, listen carefully to each question, and think carefully before responding. Do not get involved in an argument. A tip for this is that you must think of the logical sequence of preparing a presentation, such as before, during, and after. For example, don't refer to dress code during a presentation. You get this before you do the presentation, therefore, it is a presentation. So, advice to improve your following presentation: review what you did not achieve, analyze any criticism and avoid it in the future. Analyze the time to omit content and remove resources that did not work well. Revise the flow of slides. Move now to our data response aspects to consider when multimedia presentation is designed, such as PowerPoints or posters. So start with a text or headings. Use eligible font and font size so people can see. Use a relevant background. Use pictures that support the message of the presentation, and use clear and relevant graphics, meaning tables. Our non-verbal examples of our non-verbal presentation is illustrations, photos, scenarios, or pictures. So very visually, it is used to create an image for the audience. Two, slides, combination of tables, graphs, writing, audio, videos, and compiled by PowerPoint. Three, written reports, reporting that gives a lot of detail for handouts, such as in your class, you see your teacher gives out handouts, so audience walks away with information that you can look at it again later, and you will then recall what actually happened in that presentation. Number five, our table, graphs, and diagrams. So tables compare information, graphs are visually bar, line, or pie charts, and then diagrams shows the process or steps. So a presenter will usually consider improvements in the next presentation by evaluating the effectiveness of a previous presentation. This step is called reflection. So now we move on to our different types of data responses or presentations, such as visual presentations. We're going to use a data projector and a PowerPoint presentation. So our data projector, the instrument or PowerPoint program to create slides, advantages and disadvantages. Remember the question would be the impact of data projector or PowerPoint presentation. You're going to then answer the question by stating the programs help to convey ideas, easy to combine with audio and videos. Simple slides will hold the attention of the audience. The disadvantages to this is that not usable if electricity or data projector is not available, such as load shedding happening today. Me as a teacher at Trafalgar High School, once load shedding hits and my PowerPoint is not um, up because of load shedding, I now need to retract and go back to the drawing board and use the whiteboard and then write out my notes. People can lose interest if it is unprofessional and less useful for the visually impaired people. Remember, some people grasp by taking in the visual pictures that they see instead of you talking to them all the time. Overhead projector, or technology that makes use of transparencies, such as simple graphs can be easily explained on transparencies. It can be prepared by hand or electronically, a substitute for a computer. Disadvantages: transparencies that is disorganized can create an unprofessional image. It can easily be replaced by a PowerPoint presentation, so it is not easy to combine with audio or sound. Our interactive whiteboards, new technology using a data or dot projector and digital pens. Images are projected directly from a computer, easily to combine with audio and video, used to capture feedback and new ideas. With a digital pen, you can write on the board, and that will stay on the board till you erase it. It is not like a Koki, so it works with your computer. You can now circle things and all of those things, and it will stay on that slide. If you move over to the next slide, um, that drawing will stay on the previous slide, so meaning on your next slide it will not show. Disadvantages: presenter needs to know how to use interactive whiteboard, cannot connect to any computer, and technical problems. Example: lose the signal during use or the loss of signal during use. Our handouts or printed copies, notes or brochures, paper based, so it is not technological. Advantage to this is that it can be handed out at end of the presentation to highlight key facts. It can be handed out at the beginning to attract attention, or more information can be handed out. Example question is. Our disadvantages to this is that handing out material at the beginning of the presentation can distract the audience. Summarize only the core information, therefore, information may be lost. Printed media is expensive and easily discarded. We now move on to our last slide. Our posters, banners, advertising equipment. Advantages to this is that used for introducing the vision or logo of a business. It should be colorful to support the core idea. Can obtain large photos of products to show detailed examples such as jewels. Disadvantages to this is that can be overwhelming if it's too big, cannot always be used in small room, it looks crowded. Focus only on the visual aspects as it cannot be combined with the sound. Our flip charts, if you're in businesses, sometimes teachers use it. Our flip charts is those whiteboards with pages on where you now flip the page upwards and over. So it is mainly used for small audience to write down notes or write down ideas. Very effective in brainstorming sessions to summarize suggestions. During a sales proposal, it can be useful for feedback. Disadvantages to this is that there may not be enough time to make written notes and writing can be sloppy, looking unprofessional. It is not always possible to prepare flip charts. Our graphs advantages to this is that user information is to be displayed in parts. People can easily identify trends on charts. Very attractive, so important facts can be better remembered. Our disadvantages to this is that can be confusing if not presented simply and clearly. Time consuming because it requires calculations and too much information can make it difficult to read. Our last one for today would be video conferencing, Zoom. We all know Zoom because in our COVID period, we were at 2 years off. We then now had Zoom classes where our teachers used to teach over Zoom. Um, our advantages to this is that participants can see and hear each other during the communication. It can be used if a presenter wants to refer to documents and can be used for international meetings, meaning you're having meetings with people overseas. Disadvantages to this is that the personal aspects of a conversation fall short. People may not be able to remember information for a long period, but the advantage to this is that the lesson is recorded. It can be difficult to get everyone together for the conference. So, boys and girls, our matriculants of 2022, please be advised to go over all four sessions that I have presented to you. All you need to do is screenshot each slide. You then write down that slides as is in your notebooks. You then start to memorize each topic. Remember to make it easier for you. Um, if you want your 60-70%, you're going to memorize one topic in each paper. So remember, paper one is business environments, business operations. You're then going to take the one topic and memorize that one of that topics thoroughly. The other topic, what you're going to do, you're going to read over in the case of your multiple choice, your section A, and then section B, where you maybe do the miscellaneous question. It will help you there. Then you'll be able to answer everything, all questions, and you will get your mark of 60, 70, and 80%. The same with paper two. You're going to have your benches and roles. You're going to memorize one of those topics. The other topic you'll then read over. After reading over that topic, you'll be able to answer once again section A, and you'll be able to answer question two, the miscellaneous question, and you'll be fully prepared for your examination. After all, we are in this together. We are going to leave no one behind. So what we're going to do for the next two lessons, we possibly have 2 to 4 lessons left. I think it's 2 lessons. I'm going to do is next week we are going to go over questions based on paper one. If we have 4 sessions left in week one and week two, I'll then go over paper one's work, and then week three and four, we will then go over paper two's work. If not, if you have only 2 sessions, we will then go over paper one next week, and the following week, we will then go over paper two. From my side, I would like to say shukran to all our listeners for today. My name is Imran Majiet. I am from Trafalgar High School. If you need to contact me, you can contact me on 061 359 4637 for any information that you do need, or you can email me. I will respond and then send you summarized notes if you do need, um, at Imran Majid 16 at gmail.com. Um, so, like I would like to say, shukran for listening. And I'll now hand over to Ayub Alice.
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. We say shukran to Mr. Imran Majid, the head of the business studies at Trafalgar High School, for that, influential lesson. Alhamdulillah. We take from it and we ask Allah to grant Mr. Imran all the khairat and barakat, inshallah. Stay tuned to the VOC social media for many more matric revision projects here on the social media. From us at Voice of the Cape, we say to you all, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And please share the links with all your friends at school.